I'm a big fan of saying, I want $5 million. I want to be a pro bodybuilder. I want success, like whatever that means. That's where my goal is. Not a fan of small goals because those are the things that it takes along the way into reaching your big goal. I don't believe in participation trophies, and I'm not a delicate flower. So I'm going to get my ass kicked a lot, and I'm going to fail a lot in this process. But that's the reality of me chasing my goals. Is I know that it's a 20-foot ladder, and I got to take the first step.
Is it so much that in your time with not only like fitness or your career with anything that long-term goals would keep you on pace, or is it just not even going with short-term goals at all?
Well, when I first started, it was a short-term goal. You know, I want to gain 20 pounds, and starting at 160, 20 pounds, boom, like that. You eat clean, the weight goes on. So then it was just, well, that was easy. So here and you know, I'm going to go ahead and add another 20 pounds. I want to be 200 pounds now. So again, it only took me a couple months to do that because it's all beginner gains.
Yep.
So from there, I realized that I was setting these goals too easily obtainable, and there was no challenge. Pushed myself, and I said, all right, like my next goal for me is 240 at 9%. I'm not 9%, but I touch 240 often. So
that's true.
Ultimately, I like to aim for a bigger goal. Not that they're unattainable, but they're going to take a while to get to. I don't like small goals. Like, again, as I already stated, to me, it's things that are required to be able to reach the big goal shouldn't be your little goals. I know I'm going to jump ahead on this a little bit of kind of our game plan, but Andy Frisella does the power list. And if you're into small goals, check the power list out. It's 5 critical tasks every day. Write them down in the morning. Critical tasks, guys. It's episode 107 on the MF CEO. Completely recommend that to the world.
And Andy Frisella, for you guys who don't know, is the CEO/CMO of First Form.
Yes.
And obviously, they've got a pretty proven track record, at least within fitness and supplements, with what they do. I'm not the biggest fan of the company in general, but the man behind the camera and the man behind the scenes, he definitely set his goals. I'm going to strikingly go in the opposite direction with, I'm not a huge fan of long-term goals. I like those medium to short range goals. The reason why is because we live in a time where I want things now. Instant gratification with online everything and snap decisions has pretty much killed a lot of people's long-term acquisitions. If you say, hey, what are you going to do after college? And you're asking a 16-year-old, that's so far down the line that they're buying stuff on Amazon and it's shipping out that next day. They don't have the necessary tools to pre-plan that far out. At least the general public does. And I see this a lot with my clients as well. I'm like, hey, where do you guys want to go? Let's get to this end point. And by the time that's so far away that they're failing the short little steps because they're tunnel visioned on that very far thing. So I like to go with the shorter, not necessarily too easy. Again, like Dan's example of getting those beginner gains really quickly. I don't like super easy goals, but I like something that's going to cause that domino effect where you gain that 20 pounds, you hit the frequency, you're getting to where you're going. Maybe something happens along the line, you get set back a little bit. It's easy course correct, and you could jump into the next small goal. And it's a lot harder to kind of get hit on the chin, drop down and be like, oh, I still got 5 years to go till I get to that place where I'm trying to get to. It can be a little bit demotivating and discouraging. So I like those little bit goals because they kind of help pick you up when you get knocked down. And that kind of comes into a little bit later than we were planning, and we're going to scramble around. We're not professionals at this by any means, so we got a rough outline. I want to talk about kind of leading with this is failing and learning from your lessons. You got any examples of a failure and a learning? Now that I throw you right into it.
Yeah, no. My goal is to fail better. Let's face it. This is a fitness live stream, so it's basically every time you go to the gym, work to failure. That's what you're aiming to do, is learning to fail, and next time failure reaches just a little bit further than the first failure, and so on and so forth. Maybe you bench 135 for 2 months, and then finally you get to 155. I don't know. It's just learning to improve your failure and learning how to fail better. There's no better way to say it, in my opinion.
For sure. That's one of those things that if you look at all these people who have like Fortune 500 companies and these multiple startups, is that I really think you learn a lot from your failures more than you do from your successes, because you get sort of this king mentality where you're a king of your comfort zone and you're constantly comfortable in where you're going. And if you're making these progressions and you're never losing, you always kind of think of it as if you're always winning and the first time you lose, you have no idea how to course correct with that and you're left wandering. Where if you learn from your lessons of failures, you've been there, you've been through the down times, you've seen rock bottom, and the only other place you can go is up. And then thinking about what another one of my mentors says, Les Brown, is if you fall, make sure to fall on your back, because if you could see up, you can get up. And I think that's something that's very huge and always constantly resonates with me, is that anytime you fail, it's always an opportunity for you either to stay on the ground or get up and get stronger. And I think that's a huge thing, and something you always kind of have to keep in the back of your mind is, as you're progressing towards that goal, where are your fail safes? Do you even have fail safes set up? That way, when you do get knocked down, and you will get knocked down, it's just part of the game. We've all been there, that you have these sort of backups, not necessarily safety backups, to where if it fails, you're like, whatever, it's fine, I'll go over here. But a little bit of a course correct that's going to keep you in the game.
You know, I'm not a big fan of Plan Bs. I know that's not a big surprise, since we're, you know, pretty much polar opposites on this. Yep. But I'm very focused, determined, and yes, I fall off course just like everybody else. Obviously, I'm no professional. You know, the reality of it is no Plan B, because if I have a Plan B, that means I'm never going to put 100% effort towards Plan A, and Plan A is the only plan that you pretty much matters. Doesn't matter if you want to be Mr. Olympia. It doesn't matter if you want to be a CEO. It doesn't matter if you're just looking to bench 315. Like if you're planning, well, if I can't hit 315, then I'll just do 225. Well, am I going to give 100% effort? Well, if I've already created some kind of doubt around it, most likely I'm not going to put maximal effort into whatever Plan A was, which for me is my only plan.
I'll definitely agree with that. Is that if you have that conscious awareness that there's always something to fall back on, you're going to more than likely fall back on that, because it's going to get you. Life's going to happen, as it always does for every one of us. And I do agree. It's nice to not have complete safety backups, but at least somewhere, maybe not Plan B, but like just in case Plan A doesn't go exactly right, course correcting from it. And if you guys are just tuning in, this is Dan. We're doing LIVE253 for the first time. There's a little bit of a mic issue in the beginning. We were talking about success and proper goal setting. Talked about long-term and short-term goals, and we just got done talking about why we think that it's better to learn from your mistakes rather than to try to go flawless. And when you do get hit, it's going to hit you hard. And then when it does get hard, I think a lot of people kind of lack in the next category we're going to talk about, which is sacrifice and what it takes to really get there. And he's raring to go, and he's a big topic of sacrificing and getting to where you're going. So I won't hold you back. You go.
I'm actually going to let you go first on this one, brother. This one's all you.
So I'm a huge fan of aligning yourself with people and the things that are going to go with you. And when you're sacrificing, I, at least not so much within my life, is the people who are closest to you are going to start noticing that you're sacrificing all these things, and they're going to try to pull you away. And I think to get to that goal, and not necessarily again with just fitness, but in life in general, is that when you're going down that path, you might have to shed some extra weight to get to that. If it means shedding the people in your lives who are causing you the drama, you got to sacrifice them out of the equation. If it's that significant other who's maybe been with you for a long time, but they're not the best for you, sacrificing them in a figurative of speech. But we're not telling anybody to get divorced. We don't want that. But it does take sacrifice. And a big thing that we've been talking about is pre-planning some really good stuff to come in the future, like 5 years. Again, that long-term goal for the both of us. And we're just like, hey, what are you willing to sacrifice to get here? And it comes down to, what aren't you willing to sacrifice? Because if you're not willing to throw it all to the fire, then you're not going to be willing to jump over that fire when it comes time to cross it. And what do you got to say with that?
I agree. I completely agree. What are you willing to sacrifice? I mean, God, I'm willing to give it all up. I could stumble on my words here. So it's literally like you said. I mean, when I stop and think about it, at the end of the day, I say I don't have friends. Church is the gym. That's my religion. It's something that I practice heavily. Yeah. I mean, but in all seriousness, I really try to only put myself in position to be aligned with people like yourself, Dustin, you know, Brittany Campanelli, Lisa Brush, you know, just all these people that are fitness minded. Because I feel everybody has something that they can contribute, and I want to be able to contribute with them, like give them something back, whether it's meeting their expectation, you know, maybe making them laugh, but to be around those type of people, it helps drive your focus. And so people is something that I sacrifice heavily. You always have somebody that hits you up and they want to, you know, get a beer, and it's the hardest thing in the world. Hey, meet me for beer. And I'm like, you know, I'm sorry, I don't drink. Like, I'll do it a couple times a year, but for me, that's it. Like, sacrifice is really ultimately what's required to reach your goal. What are you willing to give up? Like, what are you willing to do? Like, you tell me you have a goal, then there should be nothing that stands in your way. And if something stands in your way, you either go through, under, or over that obstacle.
Yep. And I think, I mean, you mentioned it with like Dustin and those people who are in those inner circles, and you're drawn to them for the exact reason that you're out there too, is you usually tend to be able to see that they're willing to sacrifice, and that they've either done it, been through it, or been over it, and they know what that sacrifice is. So you know that person, they've been through the struggle, they've sacrificed. So when you don't have to worry about them blowing off their entire thing, they're very alike-minded kin. And I think that's what draws to those people in the first place.
Well, that kind of touches on, you know, the future outline is people that I choose to look at as mentors are the people I surround myself by, which are the people that are going to teach me the most. Even if we disagree, there's definitely you. I have Dustin, who I talk to daily. Again, Brittany Campanelli, who's always there to give me feedback. You know, there's just people that are in place that help me bring out the best version of me. And I hope to do the same with them. But if you're not putting yourself with people that are conducive to growth, then it's atrophy. That's all it is. You're shrinking. Yeah. And I never want to be small-minded.
That's true. And it's always the people who are going to tell you the harsh truths. This is what you align with, right? It's the people who you text and go, hey man, I'm going to send you a picture, like, not to be weird or anything, what's wrong with the picture? And they say, hey, you know, your lats look weak, or did you just get done doing arms because you don't got a very good arm pump? Did you spend too long in the gym? What's your pre-workout meal? Kind of along those lines of sacrificing those yes men in your lives. It's normally the spouses, your moms, your friends, who are going to be like, oh, you're fine where you're at. Don't get any bigger. And I mean, I'm sure we've both heard that, where people are like, you're good enough.
Yeah,
you're good enough.
And I think that's more of a safety mechanism. Like, you don't want to see somebody fail. So as you know, our love, like our parents, you know that they love you. They know that they want the best for you. But they also know that, like, natural instinct is to protect you from pain, and failure is pain. And that's just the mechanism that's in place that says, like, you know, you look fine, you're doing great, but you know, you don't need to get any bigger. And I'm like, that's my goal, is to get bigger. Yep. So by you telling me that, it interferes and it creates self-doubt. So those are people, even though they mean well and they love you, you have to understand that those are the people that you have to be willing to sacrifice those small talk conversations in order to keep going.
Yep. I think sacrifice in a whole is sort of, it gets a very negative connotation to it. Sacrifice kind of goes synonymous with separate, where you're separating them from your goals, where they exist in your life, but in a different realm that's getting you to your goal. There's that path that you're always going towards, getting towards that goal, getting to a Fortune 500 company, walking across at 212 on the Olympia stage. And then there's those little subdivisions of, this is my family, these are my friends, but this is the path I'm trying to go towards. So sacrifice is a very scary word, but it doesn't necessarily mean completely cut out of your life, but definitely sacrifice them from the path of where you're trying to get to. And the next thing I want to talk about is attrition and will. And attrition's a word I've liked ever since the Marine Corps. It's a battle. It's constant attacking until you get what you're trying to get to, or you're trying to get to somewhere. It's the people bum rushing the beach, pushing everything to get to that very ending and getting to their goal. And I think in today's society, people have I wouldn't say weak will, but they have the get hit on the chin and then call it quits. That, again, like you kind of touched on earlier, when it gets hard, people don't want to go there. And it's that safety net of, well, if it's just too hard, it's probably not meant to be. And I think will and attrition play a huge part especially in the gym. Like when you're going for the 225 to 315 and you're going for higher than like 2 or 3 reps, it's your will to continue. And I tell this to a lot of people I work out with too, and they're like, well, I can't lift as much as you. I I don't care what you lift. The numbers are subjective. I could care less. I want to see your heart. I want to see your will. If you're pushing and that plate looks like it's the heaviest thing you ever touched, and you're chipping a piece of your soul to get it, that's the person I'm going to respect. That's the person I'm going to want to bring with me the next time in the gym. I don't care if it was 135 that broke your piece of your soul off. If you gave it everything, that's what's important to me. And I take that along with like the people, again, the people who you surround yourself with and the sacrifices, and you look for that feature of that goal setting and that success in those people. Would you agree like will and success is a huge thing?
I think that it's probably the most important thing. Kind of touch on what you said, instant gratification earlier with the goal setting, those small goals. That kind of goes back to that same idea is you take that small punch to the chin and you're all done. So it's, if you didn't reach that small goal, you already quit. It's not, you're going back for more. It's essentially punishment. You just have to be driven. You have to find it in yourself to want to get that. I mean,
yep.
Every time I set a goal, every time I touch a goal, every 2 weeks, I tell you I want 10 more pounds.
Never ending 10 pounds.
It's never enough.
But it's good though, because that's what's setting that constant progression where they're kind of like pseudo small goals. You're not like, hey, I don't want 40 pounds. It's just, I want 10 pounds. I want 10 pounds. And it's sort of just creating that domino effect that we were talking about earlier. It's
the carrot and I'm the rabbit. I'm constantly chasing it, but I'll never reach it.
Yep. Again, touching back to last week's video where he completely stole my Matthew McConaughey quote, where is that mentor, that goal, that person you're always seeking is you in 5 years. But it's not that predestined, whatever. It's not the 5 years of that exact date. It's always 5 years. Predetermined. Thank you. And we get tongue tied here. We're not professionals. So that predetermined 5 years, it's always the next 5 years, which means you're never going to get there. So that carrot is always out in front of you. And that's what's keeping you on that path, which is why I think it does kind of speak to why you don't like small goals, because the second you get a hold of that carrot, it's over. And I see that a lot. One
of those words that I it's just another buzzword to me, but grit.
Yep.
I mean, let's face it. Most people don't have grit. You just don't have it in you to continue on the hardest path. It's like, are you willing to walk on burning coals barefoot for a mile to get to your goal? Like that, are you willing? Like, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Oh yeah.
Are you predetermined? No, but willpower, motivation. You can listen to motivational videos. You can do all these things, and sometimes they inspire you, sometimes they don't. When it comes down to it, you just have to do it, and that is where it comes from. I mean, it's from here. Like when your why outweighs your why nots. Like I do this because I love it. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't care where it's going to take me, but I know that I'm going to do it every day.
That's a huge thing. And you said it like to the T, your why. And your why has to be sufficient enough to get you to that goal. And I mean, I listen to a lot of YouTube motivational speakers. The nice thing is 5 years ago, you would have had to go to these guys' conferences. It would have cost you $600 to sit down for 3 days and listen to Tony Robbins and listen to CT Fletcher talk at a powerlifting expo. But there's YouTube. This place we're on right now is the fountain of motivation. All of these people's videos have been put on here. So you can sit at home, watch these videos, and even if just a fraction of it sticks, you just got a taste of motivation and a lesson. And then it comes down to applying the will and the attrition and the consistency for the second time. We'll keep it minimal, but it's keeping those things even just moderately adhered. You just can create this cycle of constant goal setting, acquisition, and then ultimately getting that full success at the end. And I think will and attrition and grit is another one of those words. They're very kind of synonymous with each other, where it's going above and beyond what the standard general population is willing to do. And I don't know if it's the fact that as technology grows, sort of the strength and the strong body gets a little bit diminished. And you can kind of see this as technology gets bigger and better, the virtues of like having that strong body kind of get a little dwindled, because now you have the medical technology to go, oh, well, you don't have the strength to get over this. Well, here's a pill for this. Or, ooh, well, we could treat it with this, and we're just going to medicate instead of focusing on getting those nice strength features going on.
general society, I think that we've been taught by society that failure is just that. It's complete failure. Like life is over. You're embarrassed. That's not what failure is. You're not disgraced. Failure is a learning lesson on what not to do the next time you want to do it.
Yep.
I mean, you've heard everybody. I'm sure everybody's heard the Edison story, right? He made 9,999 light bulbs, and when somebody asked him, why are you still doing this? And he said, because I'm learning ways not to make it.
Yep.
So 10,000 times, guess what? He makes a light bulb, but it took him that much time to invent a light bulb. I don't know that's the exact number, but that's kind of the story. Is we're taught that it's disgraceful, but you'll never learn to succeed in how not to do something if you continue to just believe everybody telling you that you can't do it, and if you believe that you can't do it.
Exactly. I think Les Brown is probably one of my biggest mentors. I listen to him probably 3 or 4 times a week. And again, they're free on YouTube, so surround yourself by it. And he says that the most fortune rich, the most successful place possible on the entire earth is a cemetery. And it sounds very backwards, but he said if you could imagine that all these people were alive, you'd be surrounded by these people who had hopes and dreams and inventions that never got achieved, that never got to see the light of day, and that there's so much of that in that one place that if you'd have just went more that 10,000th experiment with the light bulb and it works, how many inventions got derailed? How many modern marvels got derailed because someone spent 5 years on this one project and goes, whatever, it's fine, it's toast. And then that 6th year, that different research person pushed that 1 extra year, completed something and changed the entire world. So it comes down to, as you're failing or as you're succeeding, constantly progressing and just always seeking that goal, even if it gets hard. If that's your life's passion, if that's your why, what's getting you out of bed is to be the best bodybuilder, to be the best mom, to be the best Fortune 500 CEO, whatever it happens to be, sacrifice the necessary means to get there, push farther, have the will, the attrition, and the success rate to get there. And at the end of it, you're going to be the one holding the glory. You might have some scars, you might have some bumps and bruises, but you got some hell of a story out of it. Yep. And you got that success at the end.
Yeah, no, still, that was great. I love that quote. The graveyard is the richest place in the world.
Yep.
So
that's one. Les Brown, and I'm going to list off 3 of my big mentors. He kind of said it with like Dan and Stan Efferding and all these kind of people who have been big inspirations for him. 3 of mine are Zig Ziglar. Now, Zig Ziglar is a old school motivation person, and you guys have probably never heard of him. He's big into like financial stuff. But if you just kind of forget the fact that he's talking about big business and success within marketing and stuff like that, and you switch marketing with fitness, it's applicable because success knows no form. It's malleable. It's just a path that you're trying to get to something. And although he's very heavily into the marketing and stuff like that, switch some of the words around and what he says really resonates. And then Eric Thomas, who is like the exact opposite. He's very much into like physical fitness and success in business and entrepreneurship. And you look up ET on YouTube and you watch a video, you're not going to sleep that night. It's just,
how bad do you want it?
Yeah, he's going to be the one that's going to tell you like, you only got 4 hours of sleep. Perfect. You need to be going to the gym then. You got 4 hours. And he's very, very high vocal, very high energy, all about sacrifice. If you got to sell your car, you got to sell your house, you got to do this to get where you're trying to go to, he's going to tell you to sacrifice it and make it happen. And he's one person that's huge. And then we already touched it on Les Brown. Very religious, but not overly pushy on it, but very much into success. And he came from his background. I mean, awful, very, very low. Talk about getting hit down and beaten down by society, and then looking upon that as a chance to rise from the ashes and kind of make it as someone. And he's someone that's, I mean, he talks from Google, Microsoft. I mean, anyone's a big player. They bring Les Brown in to talk at their conferences to motivate their people. And it shows hugely dividends that these people hear what he's talking about and they've never met the guy, never even heard about him. And then they do a 20% production raise on a big company like that is huge.
Well, when you listen to these guys, you hear the conviction.
Yep.
They're passionate. They love what they do. It's their why.
For sure.
It's what gets them out of bed. It's what drives them. I mean, you don't need willpower to do that. That's just something that they're gifted with, but it's a practiced gift nonetheless.
So you could almost say like it was their innate reason for life. Like they just happen to find it really early to where they weren't in that secure position of life, and they just kind of clicked into it.
All three of those guys have tremendous stories.
Yes.
Their stories led them to where they're at now, but as they tell their stories, Eric Thomas, out of the people you listed, Eric Thomas is one of those guys that I listened to from the get-go. Man, 12 years to get a 4-year degree. Yep. You know, couldn't I believe it was reading right even as he was going into college. Like, and the guy he's legendary. Like, I can never tell you, like, go Google how bad do you want it, and then how bad do you want it part 2. And if you go to the gym and you hate cardio, put it on while you do cardio, because I'm telling you that it's gotten me through many times.
That's what it comes down to, which is, it's kind of nice that instant gratification. It does sort of work in your favor sometimes too, because you could immerse yourself with all of this, with Eric Thomas, with Les Brown, in those times of darkness, cardio on the treadmill when you're wishing you weren't there. That's the kind of thing you could put the headphones on, and that's going to help you to take out those 20 minutes. And that's 20 minutes of someone in your ears, resonating in your head, going, you're bigger than you think your situation is, and you need to really buckle down and sacrifice in order to get those things done. And it's just constantly there. I know, like, when I'm cooking, like meal prep, I got headphones on, and if I'm not listening to DMX, I'm listening to Les Brown. And if it's not Taylor Swift, so it's always resonating there. And it's everything. It's getting ready for the gym, getting ready for work, in the road to the car. If you have the time, it can be made available, and you can be fully immersed in this kind of thing. And it's just going to never stop you. It's going to keep you like guessing, and it's going to keep you going, well, this is my why, or this is my why. Because you have to have that thing that's going to get you out of bed. If you kind of want it, and it comes down to his video, he's like, if you kind of want it, if I told you, meet me at that park at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll give you $1 million, 9 out of 9 people are going to be there a minute early to get that money. But if you tell them, hey, meet me in a year, keep working hard, and that $1 million will be there, that there's going to be a huge fractional return. And I think that's a big thing with it. And then with that, just surrounding yourself in that community, again, that immersion, finding channels like this, or finding channels, maybe you don't like me and him. We're schmuckatellis. It's part of it out there, but you like someone else. Go from our community to another community to another community. People are going to be vastly different. Click into someone who you actually find some common ground with. Maybe they got a similar backstory to you. Maybe they have a similar look that you're like, okay, I could really resonate with that. Go to them, surround yourself in their community, and be part of it. And know that there's always going to be the people who are trying to pull you away. They're going to be the naysayers, the haters, as everyone likes to say. I think that's a good segue into the next topic, is dealing with haters. I'm assuming you deal with both positive and negative people on a daily basis, right?
Yes. And I will say I used to get it confused. I thought people were hating. Why is everybody hating on what I'm doing? And I don't think it's hate. I think most people just don't care. Not because there's something wrong with you, but they don't want to see you successful because it makes them feel like less.
Definitely.
Everybody has different hands dealt to them in life. Some people have kids young, some people don't have kids. We don't have kids, so we can make time to meal prep and go to the gym. And I understand that everybody has busy lives, but that kind of goes back to willpower. Like, how disciplined are you? I thought these people were hating. It's not hate. You just have to understand that success makes them feel like less because they're not willing to chase their dream, push for their goal, sacrifice to be at the top of whatever they want to be. I say it all the time. I don't care if you want to be a painter, a pea farmer, or a bodybuilder, whatever it is, give up, give in, or give it your all.
Exactly. And I think, I don't know where the quote's from, but it always says where there's illumination, hate will arise. So it's like, as that beacon of success is surrounding you, it's just going to draw out the darkness. That's just part of it. There's all that constant ebb and flow of good and bad, light and dark. Make some sort of Lord of the Rings reference and sort of here. But there's always going to be that. And again, it's how you classify the people who are saying this. Is it someone who has a negative connotation with fitness? Maybe they were bullied in high school by the jock of the class or the guy in weight training. And they have now have a negative sort of stigma with all bodybuilders are douchebags, and they're just like, oh. So they're going to walk up to you and be like, oh, hey, you must like fitness, like whatever. They instantly don't like you. It's sort of, I wouldn't say an obligation to you, but it's, hey, what's going on, man? Like, why, what's the issue here? Or it's realizing that if those people are going to hate on you, again, they're hating on you for your success. And it's so funny. And you see this all the time. YouTube is great for it as well. Because when you post a video, there's always someone that drops the down, the thumbs down, or hits you with the dislike, or comments like, oh, like something dumb, something rhetorical, or something mean. And the best part is they always comment within like 3 to 5 minutes. And what's great about that is in order to catch that so fast, you got to be subscribed and you got to get that notification. So it's these people who are hating on you, but they're always going to surround you in their life. They want to know what you're doing, what you're up to, how you're succeeding, so they can tell you it's a piece of crap. But it's so funny is because they're going to subscribe to you. They're going to add to your views. And even if they give you a thumbs down, they still watched your whole video. They still hearing what you're seeing. And maybe it does click to one day and they go, you know what, maybe I'm just mad over nothing and I like these guys. Or maybe they stick with you for 5 years and they account for a quarter of your views.
They're your biggest fan.
Yeah, one way or another, they're a fan of yours, and they're going to support it. And it's really kind of trying to develop why people are hating on you. Is it because, again, does it come down to what their thing in life was, what the cards they were handed? And it's really easy to lash back out at those people and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it comes across as like, oh, you're defending yourself, but you don't know the hand they were dealt. And to sort of lash out and be mean on theirs, it makes you look like the bad guy. And you always have to take that with a grain of salt.
100%. They're a dime a dozen.
Yep.
I mean, they really are. Some people, they just don't want to see you be successful. There's some people that just don't care. There's some people who just like to watch from the sideline. A lot of people, you have 500 friends on Facebook, and yet you get 5 likes on your post. Same with Instagram. You have 500 subscribers, and you only get 50 views. Like, these people just want to watch from the sideline instead of being active in this sport called life.
Yep.
We welcome it. Like, you're more than welcome to interact. Fire questions away. Like, I don't care if you shoot a shitty comment on there. Like, the reality of it, interact. Like, you're never going to progress. You're never going to get through your problems. You're never going to get where you want to be if you're sitting on your hands.
Yep. And I think one thing, not necessarily dealing with completely haters, but people just not being able to see what you're going for, not recognizing your goals. I'm trying to think of the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, those who can't create art will never understand art. And not to say that like physique is art, but it's some way, like, if they can't draw, they're never going to have a good opinion of drawing, or they're never going to be able to give you the gratification of how good your drawing is. If they can't create it, they won't understand it. So you really have to take into consideration the entire timeline of your goals, unless you align yourself with people who agree with you, or at least know the sacrifice of where you're trying to get to. They might not ever recognize your goal, which is why your family and the closest people around you are going to be the first people to try to pull you away from a long shot goal, because they can't see it, because it's your goal and it's your desire, potentially your destiny. If they can't see that, then they're going to try to pull you in a different avenue. That's probably their safe avenue.
Completely. But a lot of people, when they've given up on their goals, they don't want you to be hurt. So they tell you again that you can't do it, or you shouldn't do it, not because that's what they learned from giving up. You know, obviously within reason, because there's always going to be somebody out there who's like Tide Pod Challenge, or, you know, yeah, right. Like, yeah, you know, but the reality is just that, like, it's a protection mechanism. It's a device out of love. But how are you ever going to learn to fly if you don't spread your wings? You know, and maybe I do fail at this. Maybe I only go for another 5 years and I never make anything with this. But I'll tell you one thing that I've learned is that you have to be determined. You have to have the willpower. You have to be, you know, willing to make those sacrifices. And something that, you know, that I'm learning right now is chase your passion. It doesn't matter what your passion is, chase it. Chase it, chase it, chase it, run. Because where you run with passion, the money will follow.
If I had a soundboard, it would literally be a soundboard of Les Brown screaming, run, like he always does. And all of his motivational videos, he's going to tell you to run after your destiny and run after your dreams. And I wish I had that freaking soundboard. I'd be pushing it just nonstop. I fully agree. That's one thing. We're always going to butt heads. And the whole reason why me and Dan thought about this live stream and this live concept is that, again, we're polar opposites on our thought process on a lot of things. We agree on a lot of stuff as well. But you need that back and forth, short-term versus long-term goals, dealing with haters more positively, like sending videos that you don't have 8-inch biceps to people, like freaking insert hater.
Shout out to that guy. I don't remember his name.
He'll be around. They're always around. It's just there's never one path. There's always going to be multiple paths and multiple destinies to get you to where you're going on that goal setting and setting that constant success mindset. And that's what I think it comes over. And I kind of tie away from saying mindset a lot because it's kind of hard to describe what a mindset is. But everything we've been talking about gets you in that proper mindset to get things done, to get that success. And I think a big part of that is again, just running towards it and finding that passion. And the last thing I want to say is that it's one of those things, like everyone's worried about money, financial security, and that's fully available to be there. It's one thing that doesn't allow you to, it keeps you living. But it's one of those things like chasing your passion, the money will come. If you chase the money and it falls flat, you got nothing. You got nothing to back up. If you follow your passion, look at they're called clip strips or something snap clips. That's what it is, snap clips. Two teenagers thought there was going to be a better idea to hook on the end of a barbell, and they created a metal strap that clicks onto the end. 2 kids followed their passion, and now they got a lot of money to show for it. They've been on like Shark Tank. They've done these 2 things because they chased their passion and was inventing something that was going to be completely revolutionary, seemingly very simple and dumb. Blender bottles. I mean, half the stuff in this room, someone's like, I wonder if someone's made that. And they chase that passion, and surprise, if one person wants it, if one person's thought about it, there's bound to be countless people who have been like, I totally need something to shake up my protein or my supplements in, and it'd be really cool if I had this little ball at the bottom. Some guy's like, no shit, I just invented this. Yeah. And it's one of those things where you chase that passion and the money will follow, the success will follow. And if it doesn't, you at least get somewhere to where you've had all of these positive attributes in your life, and you've went to school and you've completed college or you've gotten these certs, and that passion might not turn out to be that success in the end, but it's going to leave you much further standing than if you chase the money and it completely blows up in your face and now you got nothing. You blew off all those people in order to get to that money, because it usually comes with a lot of negative success in the growth of business. You got to burn a lot of bridges. You burn those bridges, that money's not going to be there at the end. But if you shared that passion, you're going to have the community. You're going to have all these people who have sacrificed alongside of you, like-minded people who also have that passion. And if it does fail, now you got a big net of people around you, exactly like this community, who are going to be able to pick you back up, steer you in the right direction, and it's a lot easier to spin back up towards that success. Anything else to follow as we wrap it up here?
No, you pretty much touched on it all. I mean, we love some questions. We want to do a live Q&A, so send us questions.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. We'll start getting this set up down. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this right here, and the quality's good. The sound is good. There's that little bit of a blip in the beginning because I forgot to turn off the mic. That's on me. It's just going to get bigger and better. We got a comment section below on the right hand. Drop the questions, email us, text us, send us DMs. If you guys got any questions, we're always open to hear it. And if it's something cool or something we find passionate, we are going to make potentially a full video on it. As someone asked, hey, what's a good thing with success and goal setting? Boom, we got a video completely on it because we could draw something more than a 2-minute question off of it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take it easy.
Later, guys.